Guys, welcome to the Escape from Tarkov guide. This guide is going to be catered towards new players who are wanting to start their Escape from Tarkov journey. This game can be a little bit intimidating, but with this guide, I hope I get you exactly what you need just so you can get started in playing Escape from Tarkov. Before we get into the guide, I do want to let you know that I do live stream Monday night and Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will actually be streaming tonight, so feel free to stop by, ask some questions, hang around, come for the vibes. I'll be there. I'd love to talk to you and answer your questions. Without further ado, let's get right into this guide. So a couple things before we get into it. There's gonna be a character creation screen when you start the game. It's gonna ask you to pick between two teams. It's gonna be your USAC and your bear. To keep things very simple, I would say just go with USAC. There isn't really much depth to it aside from one map in the game where playing as the bear, it's actually more difficult for you to go through that map. So if this is your first wipe, or if you're still trying to get a hang of the game, I would say just start with USAC and then go from there. And then you can pick whatever voice line, whatever character look you like, and then that will be all that you need. And then once you get through that, you're going to be on this screen here. So we'll go at character screen. This is going to be my character screen. So yours might look a little different depending on where you're at during the wipe, whether you're beginning or in the middle or in the end. This here on the left side is going to be all your equipment. To go over this simply, you have your earpiece, which is basically your headset. There's multiple versions of it. I have the Razor kind, what I like to play with, and each headset in the game amplifies certain sounds in the environment, such as footsteps, ambiance, such as rain, wind, any of that. So play with the headsets in the game. Try, explore your variety, see which ones you like, and then stick with that. For me, I love the Razors. The other thing would be your headwear. There's multiple headwears in the game, helmets. And they each have different areas they cover, and then they also have different armor class penetration, so that the higher armor class, the harder it is for the bullet to penetrate the helmet and insta-kill you. The other part is going to be your face cover. This is very useful so that because your skin tone is so bright in the game, you want a face cover to cover that up so that you're not as highlighted when somebody's, looking over the grassy areas, looking over the trees, looking in the windows. So it's definitely worth putting a head cover on. Armband, this is not important. If you have teams you play with, you can go ahead and, pick a color. I have this on just for cosmetic. I just like it. It looks good. I found it and wanted to wear it. The other thing is going to be your body armor. Your body armor is going to be also the same as your helmet. Going to have different armor areas that it covers. Right now, the best way to pick armor is going to be with the armor that has the most coverage of your body, right? And then obviously it also has armor class. So for me, the way it works is that you got the plates that go into your armor, and then you got soft plates that is already inside your armor. And those are two layers that the bullet has to go through for it to actually hit your character. That's as simple as it gets. It can get very complicated. I'm just going to leave it at that. Pick an armor, look at the class, look at the rating, look at the areas it covers, and then choose your armor from there. The other thing is going to be your eyewear. I have protective eyewear. It has armor class level 1. So it's really, to be honest with you, it's probably not going to stop much of anything. But it's also to cover your eyes so that it's not, that part of your face isn't very exposed when somebody's looking to, find you, kill you. And then over here, you got your weapon. You can equip 2 weapons. I got my weapon up here. And then you can equip a pistol and then also a knife. I don't carry a knife. I like the extra, being able to extra carry more weight. So I usually get rid of the knife and don't use it. Then you've got the tactical rig. You can put on very many different types of tactical rigs, and they all have different slots. Like if I were to open this one looks different than, this one looks different than this. This one looks different than these. This one is a little bit special. It's an armor rig. So it's an armor piece and a rig. So instead of having an armor piece and a rig separately, they come together. So, and then you can put, your magazines and all that in there. The other thing is going to be your pockets. You can put anything in here, such as your magazines, if they're small enough, your health, such as heavy bleed, light bleed, or even meds, such as like the actual IFAK in there. And then after that, you also have your special slots. These are geared towards either quest items, or if you have like a compass, you can put a compass in here. Let me see if I can find mine real quick. There it is. You can put that in here, and then you can actually use the compass in game if you so desire. The other thing is going to be your backpack. You're going to put all kinds of different backpacks on during the whole wipe of the game. Every backpack has different sizes. Every backpack has different movement penalties and turn speeds. And then last but not least, about your character inventory screen is going to be your pouch. This is going to look different depending on the game you bought, whether you bought the beginning edition or the Edge of Darkness edition, which is no longer available. That's the one I have. That's going to be the reason why yours might look a little different than mine, or smaller compared to it. This pouch is going to be one of the best things that you use in the game, because this pouch will not, if you die, nothing in this pouch will be lost. It'll be brought to you again to the main menu. If you die, you go to the screen, you continue. You're not going to lose anything in here. So if you find loot that's super rare, you can put it in here and no one can take it from you. If you have stuff that you want to bring in raid that are very expensive, such as a docs case or an injector case, you can put it in there so that if you die, you don't lose it afterwards. And one other thing is that you're going to have your weight down here on the bottom left. Mine is 20.1 kilograms out of 73. More stuff in your inventory that you put in, obviously the heavier you will be. And that will affect your stamina. That'll affect your stamina regen. That'll affect how fast you run. That'll affect this thing called inertia, where basically your character has to either stop in place or take a little bit, like it's a little bit slow for him to turn. If it gets into the yellow, it starts to affect your stamina. So if I have this much weight, obviously my stamina is going to be a little lower. My speed is going to be a little lower. And also my stamina regen will be a little lower. It can go all the way to a red color, to which it will stop regenerating your stamina. It'll stop making you run, and then you can only walk. And so definitely keep a lookout on that when you're playing the game. The other thing is going to be your health. So you have 440 in total health, right? That doesn't mean that you have to go from 440 to 0 to die. We're going to go into a much in-depth version of this once we get to the health tab. But that is the health of your PMC. And then your hydration, your water is right here. And then your energy, which is basically your food, is right there. When you're playing in a raid, when you're in the actual game, over time, your PMC, your character, will be losing health. Will be losing hydration and hunger. So it's good to make sure you keep an eye on it. Find food, either bring food with you or find it in the map. And that is basically the character inventory screen. The next tab we want to hit on is going to be your health screen. So this, as you can see, is your health right here, 440 out of 440. This is going to be your temperature. These two, don't even worry about it. They're not even in the game yet. So these don't really matter right now. And then here is going to be all of your limbs. So every part of your body has a health bar. And the two most vital parts of your body is going to be your thorax and your head. If any of those parts get absolutely depleted or blacked out, your PMC, your character, automatically dies. The only difference is if it's your right arm, left arm, stomach, or legs, if any of those get blacked out, you don't die right away. So for instance, if they black out your stomach, if they zero this, right, you start to lose hydration and energy, and your health will be going down if your hydration and energy is completely depleted. Another thing is your left and right arm, if any of them are blacked out, it's not going to make you run slower or deplete your hydration or energy. It's just going to make your recoil and your steadiness when you're aiming down not as stable. And then obviously with your legs, if any of those are blacked out, you're going to be either limping or you're just not going to be able to walk, or sorry, not be able to run. So definitely keep a lookout on those. You can also get fractures, whether it's in your arms or legs. That acts the same way as a blacked out, a zeroed out limb. The only difference is it can happen without it being zeroed out, and you need a splint, one of these, to fix it. But that's not as bad. Getting a splint or a fracture is not as bad as blacking out an arm. And the other thing is there's a couple of instances to where if your thorax or head is bleeding out and it bleeds out and then becomes zero, you can still be able to play, you're still alive. But if you were to take one more hit in the head or thorax after that bleed out happens, you will automatically die. So there's some weird occasions that happen that way. The other thing is, since we're on this health tab, you have different meds that you can use in game. So the Grizzly is basically everything, right? It stops heavy bleeds, it stops light bleeds, it stops fractures, it removes concussions. So it does everything, right? And then it also has a very, very high capacity in how much it can heal you for. The Salua and the IFAC do the same thing. They just have different durability. And then also this right here, what's to stop light bleed and stop heavy bleed. If you have a light bleed or heavy bleed and you use an IFAC, let's say I have a heavy bleed, I use an IFAC that's fully 300 out of 300, it's going to take 210 out of it. Even if I have a full health arm, if I have a heavy bleed and I go and heal it, it's going to remove 210 automatically because that's how much it takes it out. And then each of them have different modifiers. See, that's kind of how meds work in the game. And then you got other extra meds that you can use. You got injectors, which is basically painkillers. The way that painkillers work, there's different variations. You got the morphine, you got analgin, which is just basically like another form of painkillers. Then you got also like Vaseline or Golden Star that also act as painkillers, removes pain. You got ibuprofen. You got a lot of different ways to remove pain, but basically what pain removal does is if you have a fracture, if you have a blacked out limb, such as a leg or an arm, you can use a painkiller. Just instead of fixing it, it'll just remove all pain so that you can run again, or so that you can have a steady hand when you're shooting. So if you're in a firefight and you're like, I don't got time to fix my arm or leg, I'm gonna just hit a painkiller so that you can either finish the firefight or leave. And then you can heal your limbs. The other thing is obviously your splint. You can get fractures in your arms and legs. Use a splint to fix those fractures. You got your bandage. It comes in different variations. There's white and this green color. This one has 2 uses, and then it stops the light bleed. Then you got an S-mark that is basically like a tourniquet, and then that also stops your heavy bleed. Now, all of these have different time uses. This takes 2 seconds to use. This takes 5 seconds to use. This takes 5 seconds to use as well. And then you got surgery kits. Cool things about surgery kits is that these, when you black out a limb, this is the only way that you can get that limb back into a healthy shape. So if my arm is blacked out 0 out of 60, I can't heal it. But what I can do surgery on it, and then I can heal it. But the one thing about it is that the CMS kits cuts the durability of your arm. I believe it's going to be either in half or a little bit more than half. And then there's this thing called a survival kit. This removes fracture, so it acts as a splint as well as a surgery kit. And this one actually gives you a bit more limb health than a CMS kit. But those are going to be the main meds that you use when you're just getting started. There are more complicated meds, such as like these stimulants, these injectors that you can put. They all do different things. They can increase your carrying capacity. They can increase your health regen. They can stop heavy bleeds, light bleeds. They're basically like emergency meds, but honestly, don't worry about them until you feel like you want to dabble into it. But I wouldn't worry about that too much. All I will say is if you do find them, don't just not pick them up. Pick them up, put them in your secret pouch, because they do go for a lot of money, and they're just super useful if you want to try them out. So obviously, this is going to be your food and water here that you can use to regen. Some of them have a durability so that you don't got to use all of it. You can use some of it, and then some will just, you know, you'd have to use all of it. It gives you plus 70, and then it'll actually give you regeneration for that food for 300 seconds, 0.1 for 300 seconds. Then you got your grenades. This is a flashbang. Basically, you know, you throw it, blinds them, and then it's going to take for them a couple seconds for them to gain back being able to see. Then you got grenades, different types of grenades, different types of explosion delays, how long it takes for it to explode, and also fragmentations and basically like shrapnel coming out of the grenade, and also the size of your grenade explosion. Then you got this one, which is basically an exploding grenade that explodes on contact. So as soon as it hits something, it's just going to blow up. And then for weapon modifications, let's say you got a gun, right? You want to be able to do some spicy stuff with it. You can't modify a gun like this until you have the workbench in the hideout, which we'll go after here in a second. But what you can do is if you, let's say, have, you know, some mods that you want to put on here to kind of put into your gun, all you got to do is make sure they're compatible. Cool thing about it is you click on an attachment and then you see here compatible with available. It's going to show you all the stuff you have in your stash or on your character that this attachment can equip to. And then you can just put it on like that. And then that's how you kind of modify it. Another thing is with magazines and ammo, the way that it works in Escape from Tarkov is that you got to load up the magazines, right? So you take the ammo, you put it in here, and then you put the magazine in the gun. And then also, you don't have to do this, but you can also put a bullet in the chamber so that when you get into the raid, your character doesn't have to chamber the gun. You don't have to do that, but you definitely can. Definitely make sure you put bullets in your magazines and put them in your gun, because some people have forgotten to put magazines in their gun, believe it or not. And also, I would be careful. There is some guns that can, like, some magazines can work on multiple different weapons, but not all those weapons take the same ammo. So what you want to be careful is, don't take a magazine with another weapon that uses different ammo and then put it in here. I'll show you. So if I were to see if I have this gun somewhere laying around here. There it is. So for instance, this magazine that I have on this bottom gun, see, this magazine, they work on both guns. But what you're gonna realize is if I put it here, you see that red? Because I have ammo from this gun that takes a different kind of ammo in the magazine, this gun will not shoot because it's incompatible. So you want to be careful with that. You don't want to put the wrong ammo just because they match the magazine size. Doesn't mean they have the right ammo in them. I've done that multiple times when I first played Escape from Tarkov, and it was a bad situation. Night vision. Let's talk about night vision. There's going to be two different time zones, or two different duration of time that you can play raids and Escape from Tarkov. You can go in more of a morning light out time duration, or you can go into a more dawn, going into dark, very dark timestamp. And then what you need is some night vision goggles to see. You don't have to use them. You know, you can use a flashlight if you want, but obviously you don't want to be, the only guy running with a flashlight in the middle of the night where people can just see you, right? So these come in clutch when you're doing night raids. But the thing is, you need to make sure you have adapters into them. So you get an adapter, you get the mount, you get the adapter, you put them together, and then you put the night vision goggles on. You take these night vision goggles and you put them on your helmet. Boom. You got night vision goggles. You don't have to do night vision raids. The only thing about, you don't got to do nighttime raids. The only thing good about nighttime raids is that there is usually less people in the raid and you can get your quest done without a lot of conflict. So that, you can go into a hot zone real quick, do your task, and leave without having to get into too many fights, or any fights at that matter. All right, these, you can see that I have a lot of cases. So in the game, there's a lot of different cases. You got a junk box case, which is keeping all of your resources throughout the raid. You're gonna find lots and lots of resources, and they vary in rarity, they vary in value, and they vary also in where they spawn. So I would say at this point, if you're starting out, just look for things you need for the hideout to build and upgrade certain parts of your hideout, and then also look for things that you can barter with at the traders. Also, one more aspect in the game that's very important is this little circle with a check mark in it. When you hover over it, it says item found in raid, and basically what it does is there's going to be tasks, and there's going to be some things you need to be found in raid for you to turn them into your tasks, otherwise they won't count. So when you put stuff in your gamma container, let's say you die, if you come back to your stash after you're dead, that if there was a check mark on this ibuprofen before you died, it no longer will have it. But also you need items with this check mark to be able to sell it. Because if I want to go to the flea market and sell this meds, I can. But if I wanted to sell this headband, I will not be able to because it's no longer found in raid. So the found in raid is very important if you're looking to sell on the flea market, or if you're looking to turn in a task. The tasks will specifically say that this item needs to be found in raid for it to be turned in. The other thing is, when you're in a raid and you see a check mark that's yellow, it means there's already a task that you have that requires that item. and it's better to put that on you so that you can turn it in after you get out of that raid successfully. Medicine case, you can keep all your meds into it. You got a fridge, you can keep all your food into it. I got a money case, docs case that I can keep all my keys, because there will be buildings and rooms in the raids that you can't go into unless you have a key to. Make sure to always have at least 5,000 rubles in your pouch or on your character. There is vehicle car extracts that you can take to be able to leave the raid by paying them 5,000 rubles instead of going to another extract. There is a specific map called Labs, very chatted out, very try hard, filled, sweaty. Don't even think about doing it if you're just starting out, unless you want to give it a try. You need a card to be able to access the map. Otherwise you can't play the map. So, and those you can find in raid or buy them off of a flea market, which we'll go into later. Hey guys, I just wanted to pause the video real quick and actually just update it. When I had this session recorded, it was before patch 0.14.5, but now that the new patch came out, there's actually new stuff when it comes to ammo stats. So I'll show you here. So now, actually, instead of going to a website to see the stats for an ammo, like the penetration, the damage, and any of that, you can actually just double click on it. Down here, it'll show you the penetration stat. It says 30 with an arrow down, and then up here, it'll tell you the damage stat for limb damage. On the bottom right, when you look at the arrow, you can hover over it. It'll actually show you the classes of armor and the likelihood that this bullet will actually penetrate it. This is super helpful. I'm so glad they added this update. It's going to be very friendly to people that are starting the game, and you can do that with all kinds of ammo. So I just wanted to throw this in here just so that you guys know and that you have an updated guide to when it comes to ammo, penetration, and everything with that. The other thing I wanted to show you, an update in this guide, is the skills tab. So this is where you see all your skills throughout your gameplay in Escape from Tarkov. You'll actually get to level up certain skills such as endurance, strength, vitality, and health, and so on and so on. Before the update, you used to not be able to tell how you upgraded and leveled up these skills, but if you hover over it, it'll actually tell you how you can level them up. So down here, it'll tell you the strength skill is improved by sprinting with the overweight status effect, which means your overweight has to be yellow, throwing grenades, using melee weapons, and by working out in the hideout gym. Difference with the endurance skill is improved by sprinting without overweight status effect, meaning the gray color on your weight, and by working out in the hideout gym. So you can look at all these skills, see how you can improve them and how you can level them up. The other thing that I would point out is your perception skill. This is very strong because it actually increases your hearing distance in the game. So this is definitely kind of it's controversial. You know, people are wondering whether or not they should have this in the game, that it increases your hearing, but just keep a lookout on it. Make sure to do exactly what it says. The skill is improved by finding and picking up any items. Best way to do that, just put something in your inventory and then drop it if you don't want it. And then also you got this thing called a map. I never use this. I think it's actually not that great. It's not that useful, and it's not that friendly for people. I'm going to put some links in the description of some great links that you can use to look at maps that have a lot more to show you and a lot more detail. I never use this. The only way to use this is if you have an actual map in your inventory. I got one today. That's why I'm able to show it to you. Otherwise, I usually sell these. So I know I referenced the map in the game and that it's not super helpful. I have a link in my description of this website called Acheivements. It's super helpful. It's designed by the community of Escape from Tarkov. If you go to it, just click on it and then go to customs or whichever map you're playing. You're going to be starting out on customs, so I recommend getting to know customs first. And then this might be overwhelming, but all you need to do is actually just go to over here and click hide all, and then you can scroll down and hit extractions, and then you'll see all the extractions with their name and titles associated with it, so that when you're in game you can double tap O so you can see all the list of extractions you have. And every raid can have randomized extractions. If you're gonna start on the left side of the map, your extractions will most likely be on the other side of the map, or there's some special ones in the middle, such as ZB13 that requires a key and the power to be on, or Dorm's vehicle extract right over here, the green one, that requires at least 5,000 rubles to use. So I personally like to play it with the spawn points always on here as well, mainly because I like to get acquainted with it. If it's too much for the spawn points to be on the map, get rid of them. Just learn the extracts, And then later you can start learning the spawns, because this is going to be a really good knowledge to have when you're playing Escape from Tarkov, is knowing where the spawn points are, so that when you load into the raid, you automatically know some certain areas to where you could encounter some PvP. And then tasks. Your traders will have many tasks to give you, and each tasks have things you need to complete. Locate the hideout, locate Chairman's house, eliminate PMCs with headshots while suffering from terror effects. And each of them have rewards, which is, they call them results, basically rewards. And then that's how you're able to also level up their reputation, so that you can unlock different tiers of their selling merchandise. And then after that, you also have quest items that you carry. So sometimes you go into a raid and there's a quest that's asking you to pick something up and then extract it and give it to the trader, or take an item, extract it, and put it in a different map. Those items are not going to be in your inventory. They're going to be in here under the task tab. And if you take that item and you die with it, you have to get that item again. If you get that item and you decide you want to do something else before you finish the task, you can put it in here. It'll give you an option to transfer it, so that you don't lose it in case you go and you die to a different task that you decided to run. So that's something to keep in mind as well. The other thing you're looking at is your achievements. You know what achievements are. Every game has them. They're there just for bragging rights. I really don't care for it. I don't look at it. It shows you the percentage of players that have it. If you care about that type of stuff, if you feel motivated by getting achievements, definitely take a look, see what you can do and get them done. And then your overall stats tab. This is going to be basically your KD, all the raids you've survived, all the raids you haven't survived, and then also just your how long have you've been playing the game for, and then how long your account has been up for, and stuff like that. So this is going to be very in-depth stats, all the players you've killed and what level they were. You see I've killed nobody who's level 71 or 99, mainly probably because those people are playing maps that I don't play, such as labs. And then bottom left here, you got clothing. You can unlock different types of clothing, whether it's through their microtransactions that they have on the website, or if you go to traders, there's this trader called Ragman who has services to where you can unlock them, and you can pay either in-game currency or real life money for it. So moving on from that, I think this is a great time to look at traders. So the other tab you have here is trading. This tab is going to be where you buy most of your stuff if you're level 15 and under, and even above level 15 you'll use them a lot, but this is going to be the only place you have to buy from until you hit level 15. And every person specializes in different things. Prepper is more of AK, SKS, pistols, PM pistols, stuff like that. Mosin type of seller, he's got some shields. I'm gonna put it on level 1 because that's what you're gonna have most of the time until you level them up. And you can either buy it with rubles that you have from your stash, which is going to be up here to the right, top right, and then you can also barter. So if I want to buy this AKM, he wants 3 Tashankas, and then he'll give me this AKM, trade for it. So, and then there's different types of attachment. Like I said, click on attachment that you think you like, see if it's compatible with anything you have, and then buy it if you want that. One thing to note is sometimes it'll say it's not compatible, but it's not that it's not compatible with your weapon, is that the attachment needs an adapter or a mount to be able to go on that weapon. Once you get that adapter and mount, it'll be able to be compatible with that weapon. The other thing is you got therapist. Therapist sells a lot of meds, sells some keys, and then also sells your scav junk box. So this is probably where you're going to get most of your meds, unless you have some or you found them in raid. You can trade for them. And then also she has the top left is where you can get their tasks. You can accept their tasks, and then you can turn in any tasks that you completed with them. And then if you want to go back to trading, just hit the trading tab. And then Fence. Fence is a special guy. So Fence is a scav trader. All these weapons are going to be mostly damaged, as you can see. I don't recommend buying weapons from Fence, mainly because they will jam on you unless you're looking for a specific attachment that you see a gun has, and also the same with their backpack or sorry, with their armors. Their armors are most likely going to be pretty dunged up, pretty damaged. So you can also sell to these traders. If you sell defense, he'll buy literally anything from you. The only thing is that he buys it at a very discounted rate. So I don't recommend selling to him unless no one else will buy from you. These traders will buy certain things from you. They won't buy everything from you. The therapist, what she will buy is your meds, your food, and your drink, and then also any kind of barter items. So anything tool-wise, she will buy from you, and she will give you the most for those items. But then if you were to go, for instance, to mechanic, he will give you the most amount of money for weapon parts, weapons, anything gun related. Fence will buy anything that nobody else will buy, like I said. Here, honestly, dude, he's got some good attachments here and there, but I barely buy from him unless I have to. He does sell euros, which, you know, you'll need more towards the end game. But aside from that, unless you're looking for specific guns that he's selling or fuel or anything like that, he's just there for leveling up for certain attachments that you need for mechanic gunsmith tasks, that where you basically have to mod out a weapon and turning it to him. You can find attachments with gear that most of the time that you need for those guns. Aside from that, you got Peacekeeper. Peacekeeper is a little different. He only buys and sells in dollars instead of rubles. So he'll buy from you. He'll if you sell to him, he'll buy it with dollars. He won't buy it with rubles. And then also, if you buy from him, he will only accept dollars and not rubles. The other thing is he also, if you get further into the game, he sells different beta packs. I believe this is what most people start out with, which is the 4x or the 2x2. And then depending on when you get him into a higher tier, I believe it might be 2. Yeah, 2. You can get this container, which is a bit bigger, as you can see here. It's a 2x3, and you can replace your security pouch with this instead. Mechanic, gonna be your best friend when it comes to weapon attachments. He sells really amazing weapon attachments. It'll be a lot to go into. I would just either look up guys on weapon builds, or I would just get super creative with it and try to build your own. Sometimes he has his already made up weapons that he'll trade you for. But aside from that, he also sells these special things that you'll need either for tasks or crafting or upgrading your hideout. I know you need this for workbench level 1. Ragman, he will only buy apparel from you: backpack, tactical rigs, armor plates, armor, helmet, face mask, headset. So he's primarily apparel and war gear. And then he also has some really good stuff that he sells to you armor wise as well. But they don't get as good and decent until like level 3 or 2 for him. Level 1 armors are honestly not that great. Jaeger, this man, you won't have this man unlocked right away. You have to do a task where you find a letter and take it out of the raid, and I believe you turn it into either Ragman or Mechanic, and then he opens up to you, and then you can buy whatever you want from him. He's more of a hunter, so he has a lot of bolt action, a lot of shotguns, a lot of Mosins, stuff like that for your weapons that he sells. And then he also sells gas, which I'm gonna buy from him. Cool guy. I sometimes buy from him, sometimes don't. You know, it is what it is. I have the flea market, which is what we're gonna go into now. The flea market is probably some of the funnest aspects of the game, in my opinion, because I love day trading. I don't do it in real life. It's just a fun aspect. You unlock this when you hit level 15. So it's going to be pretty much a grind to get to level 15. But once you get to level 15, this game opens up like no other. The flea market is basically a market made by players that are selling and buying. As you can see, these are real players selling these cigarettes, these batteries, these plexiglass that you can buy from. And then you can also up here add your own offer, and then you can sell like this key card. I can do filter by item, boom, selling for 105, which is crazy. But you can add the offer, put it up for however much you want, right? Let's say I want to put this up for 120, 120k. It's gonna also give you a fee, so it's gonna charge me 6,000 to put this up, but then I'm gonna make the difference of that 120k of, and then versus the 6,000 in the fee. And then you can also do auto select if you have multiple items, so you don't have to do, you don't have to click one by one. That's the flea market. And then you can wish list some things. So for instance, if I want to wish list this red key card, one of the most expensive items in the game, if not the most expensive item in the game. As you can see, I can wish list this. Where is it? Wish list. Go up here and then boom, it'll be available right away. I don't know why I have this. So you do this if you want to always check some things as soon as you get in case it's super low in price, so that you don't miss out on anything. And then you can also browse different, like basically you can browse almost every item in the game in here. There are some things such as some ammos and sub attachments that you can't get in the flea market, that you have to either barter for or find in raid. There's also some cases that you can't buy from the flea market that you have to either buy from the traders or craft yourself. But the flea market, basically a market run by players for players that you can use to buy and sell. And you can put different filters like rubles, US dollars, euros, remove bartering offers, all that. And then also the durability of whatever items you're looking for. That's the flea market. Hideout, this bad boy here, oh boy, kind of glitching out. But the hideout, yours is going to look different if you're beginning, because you're going to have not as many things to build. What I would say is build whatever you can now that's available to you, whether it's just cash or if you have some items already, some resources that you can put to this hideout. The hideout is super underrated. You can make so much money using the hideout if you prioritize it right and get it done a bit earlier than later. It becomes a bit more complicated if you are later in the wipe, and then some things might cost you more than how much they will bring you profit back, because there's this thing called a wipe, to where every 6 months or so the game resets every person's status in the game. So everybody, no matter what level, what hideout, what traders you have, what money you have, everybody's brought back to whatever edition of the game they bought. And so everybody's kind of starting from the ground back up again. So it gets a little complicated seeing what's worth it near the end game. But if you approach this the right way and prioritize it right, this can make you a lot of money. But a couple things is what I would prioritize if you're beginning, definitely your workbench. This is what's going to let you use the modding tab in your character screen. So if I click this and then I go modding, you can't access this unless you have the workbench. So it's definitely worth it. It makes modding so much easier. Definitely worth investing into just to get it up and running. And then you can also craft many different resources. You can craft ammos that you can't buy, such as this right here, the SS190, the best ammo for the P90. I can't buy this from the flea market, right? I can buy it from Peacekeeper, but I don't even have them unlocked because it's master trader. So I can craft it though. So I can, if you have the flea market, you can just buy this out, right? You can buy it outright. Like I can buy 100 of this, and then I can buy 4 of these on the flea market, and then I can start the craft, and then after 5 hours and 43 minutes, I'll have the bullets. So that's kind of how crafting works in your hideout. Everything uses different resources, and everything also has different times that they finish. You see this one 31 minutes, this one 6 hours, 5 hours, so on and so forth. You can hard items, so they're not there, they go all the way to the top, so you don't have to keep scrolling for it. You can also get the firing range. You can upgrade this. The first one is fine, honestly. I just like this nicer one. This right here is basically where you can go and just test out your guns, make sure they, shoot right, you have everything on it that you need, and then also just being able to see how well they do long range. And you can do like different, depending on what levels you have it on your firing range, you can do special things with it. So that's your firing range. The other thing is going to be laboratory. Also craft a bunch of different things. You can craft cases, meds, armor, backpacks, resources, fuel, all kinds of different stuff. Your stash. If you don't have an Edge of Darkness, you will have to upgrade your stash all the way from 0 all the way to 4 by yourself. I have Edge of Darkness, so every time I play, every time the game wipes, I will forever always have level 4 stash, which is the max amount of stash. So you want to upgrade this if you want to have more space in your inventory. So if you want more lines in here, upgrade your stash, and then you'll have more lines to use. Bitcoin farm basically provides you income while you're not playing. Generator, this is the only way that you can make crafting happen. If you don't have gas in your generator, you will not be able to craft anything. Also, crafting stuff does consume a bit more gas than just having your hideout run without any crafting. The other thing is your med station. You can craft meds here. I got some med piles here that I use to make some money. I just buy these. What I do is I buy this. I buy this at the cheapest rate. Buy this. And then I craft it. And then once that's done, I list that on the flea market to make a profit. Not everything that you can craft will make you a profit. You want to make sure you're crafting things that are cost efficient. There's going to be a link in my bio that's going to show you in the description, that's going to show you basically what's the most profitable thing you can craft that you can make in your hideout and sell in the flea market. And then also this rest space and this heating space increases your energy regeneration and then also your health regeneration. So this is a good way if you don't want to heal your character. This will passively heal your character a bit faster than usual. You got your nutrition unit where you can craft food, either sell the food or consume it yourself. Then you also got air filtering unit. It increases your skill for your physical by 40%. And then you got a gym. So if you saw on my health tab, I have severe muscle pain. That's because yesterday when I was playing, I worked out the gym. When I worked out the gym, if you do it once or twice, it causes severe pain. Basically, you're sore since you worked yourself out. And also when you're working out in the gym, it increases your endurance and your strength. The other thing will be you got your vents and then your illumination. There's going to be certain things in your hideout, such as these two, where they don't really do much aside from unlock different stations at your hideout. So there's some stations you can't upgrade or you can't even unlock unless you have a certain level in either illumination or vents or weapon rack or workbench. They kind of tell you the requirements it needs to level up. So if you look here, I want to level up my intelligence center to level 3. I need all these items and I need Prepper to be level 3 to be able to upgrade it. And then if I were to go to my Bitcoin farm, I have to have solar power level 1 to be able to even craft this. So even if I have all these items, I can't upgrade this unless I unlock solar power, which I need all of these to unlock it. And then also you got the scav case. Basically you put in some cash or intelligence or moonshine. After a certain amount of time, they come back with loot. Basically, all it is you're gambling and hoping to win big. That's all the scav case is. Hall of Fame, you can put trophies here, and then you can put dog tags. These dog tags do increase your combat skill leveling, but the only way this works is that if you're a USEC, you need to be able to put bear dog tags in here, and if you're a bear, you need to put USEC dog tags in here. And the other catch is they need to be killed by you. Otherwise, they will not level up. They will not give you this bonus. So they need to be killed by you and they need to be the other faction if you're looking for that bonus. You got your library. This also gives you additional points, experience, all that. Skill leveling. And then security, same as, ventilation and illumination. Then you got your presets. I don't really use this. I need to use this. You can create certain presets with weapons so that it doesn't take you as long to basically create a weapon. You make a preset, do buy all or equip all, purchase all, and then it'll make all the attachments for you. I need to use it. I haven't used it yet. Handbook. basically just like this is how you can find certain items if you're looking to just see what they do and all their stats. So just more ways of looking at things in a different way. Your messenger, this is how you get your rewards. So for instance, for Ragman, I sold a lot of stuff on the flea market. It's how I get my money from selling that stuff in the flea market. When you can insure things. So as you saw here on my inventory, these yellow borders mean that I insured that equipment. When you go into a raid, you're going to get an insurance screen where it'll ask you, do you want to insure this? And the way that insurance works is that you pay a certain amount of money to insure an item, and then if that item is not picked up, not looted, let's say you die, that item is not picked up and not looted, you get that item back in about a day or so. And so that's a good way to make sure if things don't get stolen from you, you can get them back. But if a player scav, or if a PMC, somebody like your character took your item, even if it's insured, you're not gonna get it back. Another thing is you want to make sure you insure everything and not just the gun. Sometimes what people do is they'll insure the gun, put mods on it, and then forget to insure the modification. You want to insure the whole gun after you modded it so that you don't lose those attachments. Sometimes attachments cost more than the weapon itself. That is, and then also you get your insurance from Prapper. So this all here, this is all my insurance. If I went to, this is all stuff that no one decided to pick up, I can put back into my stash, into my inventory. Other thing is, this will tell you if you banned it or if you reported anybody. This will tell you if they've been banned. Therapist, this is I finished a reward or a quest for her. She gave me a reward. I already received it. This is a guy I met doing a raid, a random guy, decided to add him. He was super cool. And then also fence. If you do an extract called co-op extract to where you need a PMC and a scav, you need one of each to be able to get out of a certain extract. If you do that, fence will reward you. The other thing is, if you decide to do a task for fence as a scav, the only way to do stuff for fence is you have to be a scav. So if I were to go to task, I have to find item from the category in one raid, marksman rifle. I got to find 2 of these as a scav, not as a PMC. So this won't count as my actual player. I have to play as a scav, which we'll get into here soon. Let's talk about scav and PMCs. If you click escape from Tarkov, you see you have 2 characters. PMC, as it says here, is your main character. This is the character that you built from the ground up. This is how you create your creation character. Scav is basically like a randomized roulette scavenger, right? He's not going to have the greatest gear. He's going to have random stuff. He's going to have random loot in his bag if he has any. Very random. You don't get everything with a scav, but the cool thing about it is it's like a freebie. Use a scav, make some money, get out the raid, maybe get some really high tier loot if you get lucky, and then bring it back to your stash. You want to make sure you put the stuff from your scav into your stash though. If you just click continue once you extract, you will lose that stuff that's still on his body. So this has a timer. After you use one scav, whether you die or extract successfully, you will have a timer. And after that timer is over, you can do another raid with your scav. When you go next, on either of them, you have all these different maps. As you can see, there's 2 different time periods. It is military time. 22 is going to be nighttime. 10 is going to be more of a light morning, afternoonish. All these maps are available, except for labs, you need a key card, like I said. Ground Zero is only available for people from level 1 to 20. It's a really great beginner map. Definitely do Ground Zero if you're starting the game out, so you don't run into some really pimped out geared players. And then Terminal is not yet developed in the game, so this will be another map that they will develop. Let's say we want to go into a raid, right? We'll go next on a timestamp. You can enable practice mode if you want to do an offline mode. This will not make you lose anything, and it will not use up anything. You can do it almost like a practice run. You can change the game settings, and then you can just click next and then play it. It'll be offline, just you and some bots. And then if you decide to do an actual raid, you can don't check that box, just keep clicking next, right? Don't check this, just go next. This is your insurance screen that I was talking about. You can just, if you want it super easy, hit insure all. It'll insure all your stuff and attachments if you forgot. and then just hit insert. You go next, and then basically you just press ready, and you can play your first raid. If you want to look for a group, you can do start for looking for a group. Then you find some people, and then they'll invite you, or you can create your group, and then you can invite people. I will say, this feature is nice, but it's not the most trustworthy. I have done it a couple times when I first started playing the game, like one of the first times I ever started playing the games, and I loaded in, and they just killed me and took my stuff. So if you're looking to just run some raids, I would say just find either a couple friends or go on Discord. What I'm going to show you next is I'm going to go into an offline raid mode, and then I'm going to show you a couple of hotkey binds that you can use while you're playing. That's going to make the game just feel a bit more smoother and flowy, where you're not stopping as much, so that it can help you with your gameplay, with your style, however you like to play in Escape from Tarkov. All right, so a couple things. You can hotkey certain things in your tactical rig and pockets. You can put any number, so you can do like 5, 6, 4, 5, whatever you like. And I'll put 6 for this. And then basically, if I were to get hurt, instead of going into my inventory, hitting use, I can just press the number 4. The other thing is, if you hold or if you press Alt-T, you can check how much ammo is in your magazine. Also tells you the bullets in your magazine. And basically, as a PMC player, you want to, anybody in the raid will be hostile to you. There's no one you can trust unless you feel like VoIPing and talking to somebody in game, another PMC. That's up to your own discretion. If you have grenades in here, you can either press the letter G to pull it out, and then you can press your left mouse button to either hold it, or you just click it and he'll just throw it. Wherever your finger is pointing at is where the grenade is gonna go. There's gonna be multiple keybinds for inspecting your weapon and unjamming your weapon. I personally have them on the same letter. I have them as L, but what I do is I have my inspect on L press, and then I have my unjam or check my chamber on release of my L, so that if my gun jams, I press it and I hold it. Once he's done with the animation, I let go, and then it'll unjam my weapon. The only way for your weapon to jam is if it goes under a certain amount of durability, or if you are shooting it for a really long time, your weapon can overheat and jam. Caps lock makes you walk very slow or normal speed. You can also crouch, and you can slow crouch. And then bottom left is where you can see all that happen. The other thing is you can see there's 2 bars. Your blue bar is you're holding the breath. I have my keybinds to where once I press looking down, until I release, my breath is always holding, so that I don't have to think about holding my breath. It'll automatically happen. And then your green bar is your actual stamina. This drains depending on how much movement you do. If you crouch, if you spam crouch, and then it won't do any stamina drain if you're army crawling. What people do is they usually put some of their expensive meds in their pouch, and then they'll bring like 60 or so bullets, so that if they're in a very long raid and they get into a lot of fights, they can basically, they call this mag drills. They can put bullets into their magazine so that they can keep fighting. Other thing is going to be your vaulting. Depending on the button you have it on, you either vault, go on top of something, or you vault over it. So I can vault over this barrel, right? And mine is I hold B, and then he just kind of does his thing. If you have a flashlight, if you press T, your flashlight turns on. If you have a flashlight or a laser, like an either or both, you hold control and then you press T, and then you can change between them. Mine's just a flashlight and a bright flashlight. If you look down, you can hold Alt and then right click, and you can change depending on what scope you have. Some scopes have different zooms, so it'll change the zoom on your scope, as you can see on the bottom right. If I did have a different scope, it'll zoom in and out, or it'll have a different reticle. If you press B, it'll make you from either single fire or full auto or burst. I definitely advise checking this every time you go into a raid. Your gun, if you just bought it or you picked it up from somebody, it either most of the time will be on single fire, so definitely put it on full auto so you're not caught with your pants down. And then last couple keybinds is your middle mouse. If you hold it down, you can look left or right, and then E and Q will be leaning left or right. You hold Alt and then press D, you can lean a little bit slower. and then you can let go, and then you can just keep kind of being on that angle, and then you can press E or Q to kind of recenter yourself back up. And then if you do an Alt E, you do like almost like a little lean, a little bit extra of a lean. And then if you hold Alt and W, you can blind fire. So if you can Alt fire from like the bottom right. But yeah, those are going to be some of the keybinds to kind of keep in your head while you're gaming, while you're playing Escape from Tarkov. You can get a lot creative with it in the way you keybind them so that you're not using as many buttons. And yeah, boys, so that's basically all you need to get started in Escape from Tarkov. I know it's a lot. Definitely look over the video, pause it, rewatch it if you need to kind of retain some of that knowledge. It can be a very brutal game when it comes to learning everything, but let me tell you, this game is honestly the most fun I've had for a first-person shooter. And like I said, if you guys have any questions or are wondering if I can make a more specific guide on certain parts of the game, put that in the comment section. And then also, I do stream every week, Monday and Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Come by, ask your questions. I'd love to hang out with you, talk to you, get to know you, and then also just show you the ropes on Escape from Tarkov if you're new. So thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, I'll catch you later.